James Lynch here from MiddleEasy. Happy to be joined by the former Bellator Women's Featherweight Champion, Julia Budd, who will be making her PFL debut against Kaitlin Young on October 27th. Congratulations on getting signed by PFL. Tell me how this all came together, because I got to be honest, this kind of came out of left field for me. I wasn't expecting this.
Well, I was a free agent after my last fight, and then there's kind of like a 90-day period of time that we were just waiting, seeing kind of what was the options and what we wanted to do. And it seemed like it was the right time for me to make a change. And I basically signed with PFL beginning of September and found out I'd be fighting on October 27th. And I've been really excited about that.
Take me through that process of being a free agent. Did you reach out to them? Did they reach out to you? Were there other promotions in the mix? Like take me through that 90-day period during free agency.
Yeah, basically, we were kind of seeing what was going on, and I wanted a rematch with Chris. That was kind of what my eyes were set on after my last fight, and then nothing came to fruition there. So it was I think we reached out to PFL, or they reached out to us sometime even like soon after my last fight, because I was hoping to be an alternate in actually the 2021 season, and that didn't really work out. So this is just as exciting. I get to go into the 2022 season, and they've got me on the fight card for October 27th. So I just feel like it all kind of worked out at the right time. And
you're a little bit surprised they didn't make more of an effort to try and keep you, just because you were their longest champion and only champion at featherweight prior to Chris. And then also, like, that's a big fight, the rematch with you and Chris, I think, as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, we talked, and I've been with Bellator for 7 years, so I'm super proud of everything that I came and accomplished in the division. I'm super dominant for a long time, and it was just ready for a change.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess part of you kind of feel like that is the one thing that kind of sucks about this, that you won't get to rematch Cyborg, because I know that's a fight you wanted back. And I know, talking to you and just, kind of everything you've gone through, you knew that's a fight you could win if you made the right adjustment.
Yeah. But I don't know if the interview was with you or not, but she kind of said she wants new fights. She didn't want to do the rematch. And I was listening to that interview, and I was like, okay, I kind of feel like she's going to get what she wants here. Mm-hmm. Which I didn't really feel like I didn't feel like I had to be kind of like waiting around for that.
Of course, yeah.
With my record, where I'm at, being ranked number 1. And I was like, okay, if she wants new fights, new opponents, fair enough for her. I totally get that. But I didn't want to wait around for my chance there and continue to beat girls in this division. And then, what's more exciting to me is the chance at the 155-pound PFL title. And this fight with Kaitlin Young on October 27th. So, was
there any interest from the UFC at all? Did you ever get that sense? Because, it's funny, the last time we talked, I would have probably said, hey, probably not UFC, because 45, they're not doing it. But man, now they're actually booking fights. They re-signed Felicia Spencer. Like, was there any interest from the UFC?
Yeah, they were, when we were first in these negotiations, it was kind of uncertain what their next steps at 145 were going to be. So I believe that they're probably going to be developing that division, and that's cool. But I'm super happy with the choice that I made.
Absolutely. And when did you get notice about this fight? Because you said it kind of came together pretty quickly. Did you have a lot of notice that you were fighting Kaitlin specifically?
Yeah, we I think it was September 3rd that kind of my offer came through, but I was actually watching we'd already talked to them about getting us on the October card. Mm-hmm. So I'd been watching the last PFL fight in August, and her fight fell through, and I was like, I guarantee I'm going to be fighting her in October. So I knew since then, but then they said, how do you feel about Kaitlin Young? And we were like, for sure, that's an awesome fight. I've known about her for so long, watched her fight tons. So it's an exciting fight.
Yeah, I was going to say, you must have been excited by that as well. You're fighting like a fellow old G. Like, it's not like you're fighting some girl who has a couple fights in the regional scene. You're fighting someone in Kaitlin Young who we've known about forever. Yeah. So that's got to add a little bit of excitement to the fight.
100%. We fought on the same cards for Invicta. Her versus Karana was one of the first fights that I ever watched before I was even considering doing MMA. So I've been aware of her for a long time, and I'm excited to get in there against her.
Style-wise, how do you look at that fight with you and Kaitlin Young?
I just think I'm better everywhere. I respect her skills. I respect her as an opponent, but I'm so ready. This camp's been absolutely amazing. Getting ready for Lance Gibson Jr.'s fight, which is on Saturday night for Bellator 268. So we've just been in training camp full mode. And when I found out kind of after my last fight that I was potentially going to be able to, like, we were hoping to get into this tournament. I just went full into a training mode and getting better and trying to evolve and adapt. And so I'm just excited that I'm getting in there.
Yeah. How's Lance looking, by the way? So excited to see him fight again. I mean, he just hasn't had a lot of fights because I know stuff's fallen through, or there's been injuries, or all types of weird stuff happening. So it's kind of like unleashing this lion, so to speak, on this next card.
Well, and I think that that's exactly what it is. He's just so ready to go. He's been training, and he's chomping to get in there right now. And he's doing amazing. He's just in his weight cut right now. So tomorrow morning's weigh-in, and that's what we're focused on for the next little bit here.
Yeah, and I think people kind of recognize too, it's nice and sunny where you are. If we were back in BC right now, it'd be pouring rain. So it's good you get a little bit of sunshine out there as well. How have things been? I was going to ask you about that since the last time we spoke. We're lucky we live in British Columbia, where the province is kind of a little bit more loose with the COVID rules. So has training been pretty much normal for you since the last time we spoke?
Yeah, we've got a great group of guys and that train at the gym, and so all my training partners have been in there and training, and then throughout the summer it was just awesome. So lots of training, indoors, outdoors, and just enjoying it. Kind of it started to feel back to normal there, and training wise.
That's awesome. Are you staying in Arizona like after the fight, or are you going to head right back to Port Moody?
No, we are going to go straight to Florida. So
your fight, of course. Next week. I keep getting the dates mixed up. I'm losing my mind here. So.
I know. Yeah. I know. It's kind of weird. We spent a week in Seattle training there before coming here. And now we're in Phoenix for a week, and then we'll be in Florida for 10 days. So I'm going to be away for a bit.
Where did you get to train in Seattle? Who are you getting to work with over there?
It was us, and then one of Lance Jr.'s wrestling coaches from his high school, Andy Solomon. He's unbelievable. He's so good. So we got to touch up with him, and then we just trained with each other. We're each other's like number one training partners. So we trained with each other. Ran, kind of enjoyed the scenery, enjoyed being across the border there.
Yeah, it's so annoying, by the way. I live 5 minutes from Point Roberts. I can't cross. It's so annoying because of the whole thing. But
I know.
It is what it is. Hopefully soon enough. So we'll see.
Yeah. And his whole family's down there.
Right,
so
that would make sense. Because he was born there, if I'm not mistaken. He was born in Washington State, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's cool. Do you have to cut any weight for this fight? I was curious about that.
Not really. Like, I think 4 or 5 pounds.
Wow.
But which is also really nice for me.
Yeah.
It's nice for me. This is like what I used to kickbox at. We'd be at, like, I think when I was professional Muay Thai, it was like 155 and under. You just had to be under 155. So I'm kind of used to this weight and the size, and it feels good to just be able to focus 100% on my skills and techniques and game plan.
Yeah, that's awesome. How's this fight playing out on the 27th? How do you envision it going down?
I'm going to finish. I plan on using all my skills. I want to showcase my Muay Thai, my wrestling, my dominant ground and pound, and come out with a victory and introduce myself to the PFL organization. And I feel like there's an extra fire under me for this one. So
great.
I'm motivated.
Now, there's 2 other women's fights on that card, right? Claressa's fighting in her fight, and then Kayla's in the main event. If anything happens in the main event, have you been told if maybe you slide in? Like, have you ever, or do you have the opportunity if someone falls out in that main event that you could potentially take that fight? Is that something that you've thought of even?
Well, we were, and then we saw that they've got Janae Fabian.
Oh, did they? Oh, they had another fight. Okay, I got you.
So we were kind of like, we were getting ready. We're like, can you imagine? That would be just incredible. And then we saw that was that she was on backup, and also it wouldn't be fair to the girls that were in the tournament for me to kind of jump the line and get in there. But at the same time, it would be, we were ready just in case crazier things have happened in MMA. So, we kind of played it out in our minds, but then we saw that they had her on backup. So.
And with your contract, you're like guaranteed in the tournament next year, right? Like that's a given. Is that kind of how your contract works? Okay, that's cool.
This is like my showcase fight. I'm signed for the tournament for next year.
Oh, cool.
So that's a guarantee. So this is like icing on the top. So I'm pretty excited. And I didn't want to. I definitely. This was kind of like, this would have been this was getting this fight in October was one of the reasons I signed. So knowing that I was not going to sit out until next April.
Interesting. Okay, that's cool. Now, there's been some rumblings, obviously I got to bring this up, that Kayla might leave and go to the UFC. Yeah. Would that be kind of a bummer, like you signed? Because I think people want to see her tested, and I think you would be an excellent fight for her.
Yeah, I think it would be a bummer because I like what kind of when we after my last fight, knowing that I was a free agent, we kind of played it out. It was like Amanda Nunes in the UFC would be amazing, amazing rematch for me. Chris Cyborg with Bellator, amazing rematch for me. Or there's this option over here which is at PFL, and there's Kayla Harrison, who's been dominant and looking really great. So those were kind of like the three big fights that we were looking at. But now, I mean, it's her journey. If she decides to leave, she leaves. Either way, there's a good roster there of some dangerous, good opponents that excite me to fight. So Larissa Pacheco is one of them. She's been on a tear, and some of the other girls. So I think it's just I'm just excited that I'm going to have a schedule. I'm going to know what I'm fighting. I've got a busy next year, so
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and they'll keep you busy.
That's what I want.
Exactly, and it's off
right?
merit too. It's not like you have to sell yourself. It's like you're in the tournament, you get your points. There's no BS, right?
Exactly. And so that was super exciting for me. It's like I've spent kind of a few years just getting one fight a year, and that was frustrating. I'm a goal-oriented individual, right? It's like, when's my next fight? Well, who am I fighting? Who's there for me to fight? And that's kind of how it felt for a couple of years there in my past. So this is just exciting, and it's very athlete oriented, I should say.
I got to ask you and Kayla, if that fight was to happen, style-wise, how do you look at that one? She's got great judo, good ground game. Her stand-ups come a long way too. I mean, that's gotta be a fight you're salivating at, just with the style matchup as well, because you got unbelievable striking as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I win any way possible, and I'm just really well-rounded. I don't think that I think I bring the whole package, and I've shown that in my MMA fights, and yeah, I win.
Do you think you as well joining the organization will entice other fighters to come over? You know, I think of someone like Megan Anderson, who's a free agent. Her going and fighting for $1 million and the potential of you two fighting, I think there could be a lot of incentive there. And like you mentioned, the schedule keeps you pretty active.
100%. I think it's going to be, you're just going to see more and more signings coming. And I think that it shows their commitment to the girls division as well in 155.
Do you feel like in some ways it's a win-win for you? And I'll kind of preface this in a sec, because we talked about if Kayla leaves, okay, you don't get that mega fight, but then the chances of getting $1 million increases even more, right? And you mentioned Larissa, very game opponent, but I think you and Larissa right now at the current roster that stands are head and shoulders above everyone else if we're sort of looking at things. So either you get the mega fight with Kayla, or you have an opportunity of winning $1 million a little bit better. Do you kind of see it that way, that it's a win-win?
It's win-win for me being there. Yeah. I feel excited either way. If she's there, cool. If not, cool. I've got my eyes on the prize, and that's one fight at a time, one step at a time, and making sure that I there's a strategy to this as well. So that's kind of cool. Like their whole point system and everything. It's awesome. And I think that sometimes where we've seen some of the other people that have been signed, they've maybe underestimated the opponents or underestimated the style of the tournament, and you've seen that in their performances. And so that was something that, as I've been watching it, it's important to not overlook the people ahead of you and that extra incentive that they're coming into with this.
I mentioned Claressa Shields will be on your card. Obviously pretty cool for you as well. Very, well-known boxer, one of the best in women's boxing period. I mean, you look at her resume. What have you made so far of her, career? It's been short so far, but just, we saw that perseverance in that first fight. I think that's what makes her career very interesting. And she's young. She's not like an old fighter, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think she brings a lot of the eyes from the boxing community over. Her first fight was awesome. It was exciting, and she did great. And she's developing as a mixed martial artist. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes for her. And it's just cool. It's always an honor to fight amongst other powerful women athletes in the sport. And yeah. It's cool. You
by far have the most experience in PFL since you've been signed there. If you look at the entire division in terms of who you fought and everything, can you believe we're coming up to 10 years ago you fought Ronda Rousey? Have you thought about that?
No, actually I haven't, but I feel like I've come a long way, obviously.
For sure. And I didn't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying that it's crazy that was 10 years ago and how long you've been fighting, right?
I know. Yeah. Well, and that was like my first year of fighting. So, it was like my first year. It was a wild first year, and I don't regret any of it. It was definitely a roller coaster ride. It was a couple good wins, against Jermaine Durandamy, against Sheena Olsen at the time. She was undefeated going in. She was the next title contender, and I go in there and I have this amazing performance, and then I fight Amanda Nunes and Ronda Rousey, and I don't regret them. It's like that's part of what made me into the overall the amazing mixed martial artist that I am today. So yeah, it's pretty cool to look back sometimes.
Did you think at the time that Rousey would be as big of a star as she was, like when you guys had fought? Did you have an inkling that this would blow up the way it did? Because it was crazy, the run she went on after that, and the amount of fandom she got when she got to the UFC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there was definitely there was a lot of hype around her when I was fighting her. So you could kind of see it going, and she was so dominant with in the early stages of her career. So for sure.
Last question before we get out of here. We mentioned Cyborg earlier. She's fighting Sinead Kavanagh, which I think people are a little bit surprised by that, right? I know Kat's and Gone who's injured or whatever, but do you think Sinead's?
She is Kat. Injured?
I believe, well, that's what we're hearing. An injury, apparently. That's why Sinead got the fight. I also wonder, because they're doing a lot of international shows, maybe they want to get that exposure as well. But what do you think of that fight? Because Cyborg's got way more experience than her, and I think people are expecting Cyborg to win. But what do you make of that fight booking?
I mean, I think that from what I watched in her interviews, wanting to fight new opponents, that made sense because she's already beat Blanco, but Blanco's right there. And then Kat, I'm kind of confused on who she's fighting and what she's doing in the division, because that would have been the fight to make for sure. But as far as Kavanagh, she's game and she's dangerous. So I look forward to seeing it because she's a tough opponent, and I think sometimes she has been on the bad judging, end of some of the bad calls for judges, and that's true. So yeah, I look forward to seeing that fight.
For sure. Julia, thanks for doing this. I don't want to get the Lances upset with you for taking too much time. Anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Yeah, no worries.
Any social media, any sponsors, anything like that? I'll give you the last word.
No, just definitely tune in on October 27th for PFL, and I look forward to showing you guys all what I'm capable of doing once again.